This is your weekly for 23rd of November 2015. This is your love as well as your general forecast reading. You start this week with the overall theme of nurturing. This card has come up in many people's readings at the moment. I think there is a clear indication at the moment not only to nurture yourself and look after yourself, but to look after that which you already have in your life. We're also often searching for something out there, something new, something that's just come into our lives, that we forget what we already have in our lives and we don't give it the due time and TLC and kindness and consideration and an appreciation that we should be given it. So that's something to do this week. Next up is a card which says we are going to be getting or have just received a message. This is usually an unexpected message or perhaps a message you were waiting for, but it's now suddenly cropped up. Because of the rainbow in here, this message is a good one. So this is good news that is coming your way about your partnerships and relationships. What you do know is that this message has something to do with either a friend or loyalty. So it is about someone who is loyal to you or to whom you are loyal, or this is about a friend, a partner in life. What you are unaware of is this is bringing you a gift of some sort of indication of appreciation, perhaps even of a secret admirer. Could even be that. But you'll have to wait and see when the message arrives. Your next step to take is that to be a bit more adventurous. Your guidance card here is that of the whale breaching. So the advice is to break out of your normal responses, your normal way of doing things. I know in general people think that they do, but trust me, I know from my own experience, I always think I will do things differently. At the end of the day, we pretty much do things the same way we always have done. These cards are coming up in everybody's readings as well. It's time to do things differently. That old saying, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get the same results, really stands at the moment. The outcome is then going to be the Star card. So this is a very nice outcome for partnerships and love relationships this week. Some kind of wish is going to be granted. Something you've wished for, it's perhaps not something huge, it could be something small, but a wish will be granted in your partnerships and relationships this week. The overall guidance is that of completion. So it's not necessarily that a partnership or relationship has reached completion, although that is possible. There's a full moon this week as well, so it's quite, well, I was going to say coincidental, but there's no such thing, is there? What this is an indication that perhaps a phase of a partnership or relationship has concluded. It's reached fulfillment. It's now time to move on to a new phase, or perhaps even a new partnership or relationship. Right, so that is your love and partnership reading for November 23rd, the week of 2015. Now we're going to move on to your general forecast reading. Your general forecast reading starts with the card called A Change in the Wind. This brings in change. It brings in fairly sudden change. It brings in, I would say, slightly unsettling change, not the kind of change that you planned. This is the kind of change that happens to you. But as always, this change is necessary. It is time to move you on to something in your life or remove from your life which is no longer serving your purpose. Be aware that this may not be entirely comfortable, but it is entirely necessary. Your challenge is going to be that you are wanting things to happen right now. This is probably the first and foremost illness of the 21st century of Western culture is instant gratification. Things will happen in their own time. What you want will happen, or if it'll happen at the right time. We always want everything to happen right away because we feel, well, then it's not going to happen. That is not the case. If it's going to happen, it'll happen, regardless of when. That's very much besides the point. So take a deep breath, relax, and let it happen when it's supposed to happen. Your guidance card here is wind activation, so there will be a change, definitely. The winds of change are blowing. We saw that in the first card. So possibly what you are wanting to happen will happen not only in its own time, but it's going to happen not quite in the way you expected it to do. It'll blow in quite suddenly. Then later in this week, you will have received a message probably already. I'm thinking this has come through already. You don't understand the message, you don't accept the message, it doesn't resonate with you at this time. The thing to understand here is there is something very meaningful in that message for you. And keep it in mind, reread it, think about it, because it will become clearer as the week goes by, or as the weeks even go by. I have a feeling this is extending a little bit into the future. Intuitively, eventually you will get it, although at the moment you're not understanding the purpose of this message. Then you will find late, or should I say earlier this week, I've said later this week, earlier this week, you need to take time out to do a little bit of consideration, a bit of deep consideration. You need to think about where you are now, what is in your life, what you appreciate in your life, how far you've come. That's another 21st century illness. We look to the future constantly, or we look to the past. You need to be more in the present, and you need to consider what it is that you have and who you are at this moment in time. Your thinking needs to be holistic. The next step to take is that called chop wood. In other words, when things are not happening as you want them to happen because you're waiting for them and they're not coming at the time you planned or would like, just go about your daily duties and do them. That's the chop wood. Fetch water, chop wood is an old Chinese proverb. So do what you do every day with due diligence and appreciation, even that you have these, let's call them rituals, that you do on a daily basis. That does not mean, as your guidance card says, not to acknowledge your feelings. You can't drown your feelings. You can't ignore them. Feel the feelings, feel the frustration, feel the anger, feel the pain, but then let it go afterwards. Don't cling to it. Just let it flow in and out, exactly as this picture shows, like the tide does. Now the outcome is interesting, because this has actually come up in other readings. We are busy building new foundations. We are breaking down what hasn't worked for us anymore, and we are now creating what will work for the future. There is no such thing as something that lasts forever. And sometimes things that have been around for too long need to be broken down so that something new and better, which serves your higher purpose, which will make you happier on a spiritual level, although we'd always like it to be on a physical level, will start now happening for you this week. Now the guidance card, the overall guidance card, is very interesting. The card of dance and celebration. We do not celebrate and we do not appreciate. I'm not saying we're not thankful. I'm saying we don't actually go about celebrating or appreciating what we already have in our lives and the good things that are in our lives. We need to spend time and effort genuinely celebrating what you already have in your life and the little things that happen every day that are absolutely wonderful. If you know you're going to have a beautiful sunset tonight because in winter the sun sets through the clouds, fetch yourself a cup of coffee or tea. Settle down where you can watch that sunset, celebrate that beautiful sunset. Do this in all areas of your life. One needs to start appreciating what you do have instead of constantly looking at what you don't have. And celebrate what you do have. In all likelihood, you have things that 2/3 of the planet doesn't have. Celebrate it. Right, so that is your love as well as your partnership and general forecast for the week of 23rd of November 2015. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching and listening.